Welcome back. We have breaking news. Hollywood legend Robert Duvall has died. His wife announced the news on Facebook, saying that he passed away peacefully at his home in Virginia yesterday, surrounded by love and comfort. Duvall is widely considered one of the world's greatest actors. He was nominated for 7 Oscars, winning the Best Actor trophy for his role in Tender Mercies in 1983. He also won 2 Emmys, 4 Golden Globes, a Screen Actors Guild Award, and a BAFTA. Duvall was known for his roles in movies like The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, and the television miniseries Lonesome Dove. He was 95 years old. For a look at Robert Duvall's life and legacy, we're joined live by film critic Chris Bumbray, editor-in-chief of Jumbo.com. Thanks for joining us here live on CP24. You know, as we mentioned off air, 95 is a great run, but it's that time of life that we are losing a lot of these actors and actresses that shaped a lot of pop culture, a lot of modern day Hollywood.
I mean, that's very true. Yeah, in the last year alone, you know, Robert Redford, Gene Hackman, Catherine O'Hara, Diane Keaton, all the greats are passing away, and Robert Duvall certainly deserves to be mentioned in the same phrase as the rest of them, in the same breath as the rest of them, because he was probably, I would say, one of the greatest character actors of all time. I mean, like you said, he played Tom Hagen in The Godfather Part 1 and 2. Not Godfather 3, however. Probably a good thing for him in the end. Apocalypse Now, he delivered that famous line, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning." Mm-hmm. But then he was great in so many other movies, too, that kind of were underseen, like Tender Mercies, which he did win the Oscar for that one. And The Great Santini, you're playing a clip from that right now. That's also a terrific movie that he played the lead in. You know, he was in demand his entire career. That was the thing. He never gave a bad performance. And up until the end, he was acting. I mean, he was just in a couple of movies for Netflix a few years ago, The Pale Blue Eye and Hustle with Adam Sandler. And the thing is, all the leading men and actresses, they all wanted to play opposite him because he just would elevate you, right? There was something about him. He just made everybody seem better. You know, Tom Cruise, he was one of Tom Cruise's favorite actors. He starred opposite him twice in Days of Thunder and Jack Reacher. And then, of course, there was those iconic roles like Lonesome Dove on TV. He always seemed like perfect for westerns, right? Just with his kind of craggy features. But I loved him. He could play comedy, he could play drama, and he was also a heck of a director. He did a couple of really good movies. He directed The Apostle, which was a terrific movie from the 1990s, Assassination Tango, in which he displayed an unknown talent for tango dancing because his wife, who was with him until the end, she was actually a professional tango dancer, and he was an amazing tango dancer too. He had some great moves, and Wild Horses. He was a wonderful actor and a director, and I can't imagine anybody being his equal, to be honest.
You know, I as you're describing all these as accolades and what he's did in movies, and also, you know, what he was like on set with other actors, and he branched off to directing as well. Yeah, I'm just looking at the current crop of actors that we have. Like, is there someone that could embody that? Like, they could be, you know, in their prime right now, in their 30s or 40s, 50s. Is there someone who you see as he's a Robert Duvall type, he's a Gene Hackman type, Robert Redford?
You know, it's weird because the thing is, in that era, in the 60s and the 70s, the idea of a movie star was different than it is now, right? Where you have these kind of people that are focus grouped to death, I think, by studios, where they decide, so Glenn Powell or Sydney Sweeney is going to be a star, and they get the hype build up behind them. Whereas somebody like Duvall and Hackman, these were people that kind of emerged from playing character roles, and then when the audience really kind of sparked them, it gave them a shot to be stars. But, you know, they weren't traditionally good-looking people. They were real people. They seemed like people that were authentic, and I think that that's what's kind of missing from movies these days, that kind of authenticity of the actor. Everybody's always too good-looking, I think, to some extent. Like Chris Hemsworth as a thief in Crime 101, right, where he looks like, you know, a male model and he's 6'5". You know, a guy like Robert Duvall would have played that role in the 70s, where he looks much more like a normal person. But I think that was it. Also, there was something behind the eyes, though. There was that star power that he had that's undeniable. I think of the current crop, you know, one of the few that I can think of that could potentially be considered a Robert Duvall type is maybe somebody like Michael Shannon, but they're few and far between, I think.
Sorry, I'm just have to looking these people up as you mention them. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. Absolutely. Now, you say his name and now I see him. But yeah, Robert Duvall, as I mentioned before, 95 years old, had quite the run. Is there a particular favorite that you have of one of his films?
I mean, there are so many. I'm immediately thinking of Apocalypse Now, but I think that if you want to go and you want to watch one that hasn't really been talked about much, but really is one of his best performances, I highly recommend checking out The Great Santini. That is a role that no other actor of his era would have ever dared play, because he has to be unlikable, and he also has to be your lead. And I think that a lot of people wouldn't do that, but Robert Duvall was willing to do that, and he got an Oscar nomination for it.
I'll do it. All right, Chris Bumbray, editor-in-chief of JoBlo.com. Thanks so much. I do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.